Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Before we begin our meeting today, I would like to talk about interpretation. So we are thrilled to have live simultaneous interpretation available. So if you haven't yet, I need you to momentarily, sorry, just one moment. Momentarily, I will need you to select an interpretation language at the bottom of your screen. So that button will pop up here shortly. And I will be able to, sorry, I have too many screens open. Okay, you should see at the bottom of your screen, you should see an opportunity to click interpretation. There's a globe, maybe next to the more or to the reactions button at the bottom of your screen. Even if you are bilingual, I need you to select one of those buttons. And especially if you are bilingual, I need you to pick a language and stick with it, please. It's very challenging for our interpreters to go back and forth. So if you could pick a language and stick with it, you might hear original audio a little bit and then hear the interpretation audio over it. So if you hear it at first, give it a second and wait to see if you can hear the interpreter, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that that is set up. Interpreters, I will pass to you if you could confirm that folks are ready.
Do you want us to give the directions in Spanish?
Yes, that would be superb. My mistake.
You want me to do it or do you want to do it?
That's fine. If you don't mind, Vic, that would be great.
Ok. Hola, buenas tardes a todos. Afortunadamente tenemos un idioma, un acceso a ambos idiomas. El día de hoy tendremos interpretación simultánea. Mi compañera Alejandra y yo seremos sus intérpretes. Para seleccionar el canal de interpretación en la parte de abajo de su pantalla, si están en una laptop, dice interpretación. Seleccionen por favor su idioma de preferencia y les recordamos hablar en un paso normal para poder hacer la interpretación. Si están en un teléfono o en un otro dispositivo móvil como una tableta, van a ver 3 puntitos que dicen more o más. Los seleccionan su canal de interpretación de preferencia y le dan al final el botón que dice done o hecho. Creo que eso es todo. En estos momentos nos vamos a ir a nuestros canales respectivos y nos podrán escuchar. Creo que eso es todo. Muchas gracias.
Very good. So I'm going to do a little test as we get set up here. Is that okay with you, Vic? Okay. So if you are hearing me, you probably are on the English channel. Will you wave and let me know that you can hear me? Great. If you can hear me in Spanish, you are probably on the Spanish channel. Can you give me a wave and let me know you can hear an interpreter saying words that you think might be what I'm saying?
Sí, sí se escucha.
Okay, fantastic. If you have any difficulties with interpretation, please do let me know, jump in the chat or come off of mute or something throughout the meeting. It's really important to us that everyone have access to this space. So if you can't or have issues with that, please let us know. The final reminder I will say is that for everyone who is here who might speak, we are having live interpretation. So let's be kind and loving to our interpreters, which means sometimes slowing down a little bit and ensuring that we don't talk too fast, that we make blood vessels pop out of anyone's eyes or anything like that. Okay. So with that, if you just joined, I'm going to say it one more time. Please be sure to check your, select your language at the bottom of the screen. And at this point, I think I will stop sharing. And I think Ellen is here.
Yes. Everyone, thank you. I will do my best to not talk too quickly. I've been accused of that before. So I want to welcome everyone to IFCLA's annual meeting. Thank you for taking time today to join us. It's a little warm now in St. Louis. Snow is melting, so it may be tempting to do a little walk around the block, but we're glad you're here with us today. We've got a lot of really great information about this past year and the coming year. So my name is Ellen Ziegemeyer, and I am the convener of the board of IFCLA. I've been in this and on the board for around probably 6 or 7 years now, and it's been a pleasure to be part of the growth of this past several years, especially. I want to thank the team and Sarah, so Carly, Amelie, Rita, Ali, and Angel for all the great work you've been doing to get this meeting off the ground here, and all the work this past year. Also to our board members, Leo Medina, Rabbi Daniel Bogard, Ken Schmidt, and Adriano Udani. Excellent. Thank you so much for all the support. We are a small board and hope to grow this year, but we're doing a good job. So I wanted just to reflect a little bit about what's our fuel for this work, and particularly what's my fuel, and why I've continued to support IFCLA with not only my financial gifts, but also my energy and the time I give. And really, I think it comes down to, and I'm sure this is not just me, but I'm a person of faith tradition. And for me, doing this work is actually putting my faith in action and living it. It's so easy, I think, to not make time for the things that are important, especially when they're hard. And so for me, this is how I keep my faith alive, is actually to do this kind of work and make sure that everyone is welcome in this country, in this community, and to strive to have a better life for all people, and with them and for them and together, all of us. So for me, that's probably the biggest thing that keeps me at it. I know there's times where the work is so hard and we don't seem to see any difference. But I will say, as a background, I was in the Peace Corps in Honduras quite a long time ago now. And I reflect on that time, and I think about what made the biggest difference for me. And it was the personal relationships that I was able to create every day. And the people that impacted me were one at a time. And I think that is some of the biggest draw to our work, is we are doing this individually as a community, but as an individual basis. So it may not look like the big picture moves the needle much, but in our own personal lives, it makes a great difference on each person's level, right? So any of the work we do that we're going to hear about is important, and it makes a difference. So I think that's what helps me to not get overwhelmed by still not having the big changes that we want to see, because we know we're affecting change in our lives and in those people that we're working with and for. So we're going to hear today about some really exciting things. First of all, IFCLA now is celebrating 40 years, as you've gotten that communications, and we have several people today that have been through those whole 40 years. This is a celebration, the generation that we're bringing up now. It's our time to take over this work and to continue your work and be with you with this work. So we thank you all for all the 40 years, and anyone who's ever stepped into the work has been a really important. And it's going to be nice this year to actually have that celebration. The other other thing that we like to say, on the other hand, we wish we wouldn't have to keep working, right? So we wish we could just get this work done, but we know that that's not likely, and we'll be continuing this even into the future. So we'll be hearing a little bit about that in the future plans that we will do, we'll be making for this next year for IFCLA. But before we get into that and celebrating what we've done this past year, I want to invite the co-convener, Rabbi Daniel Bogard, for some words of reflection. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Am I coming through? Can you all hear me okay? I was told not words of reflection. I was told I was supposed to do like a melody for folks, sing a little something. So if that's okay. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for supporting IFCLA. I'm Daniel Bogard, Rabbi Daniel Bogard of Central Reform Congregation. Very honored to be an IF Club board member, co-convener. Sorry for the beeping. I'm turning my phone off right now in the background. I just want to thank everyone for what you do to make sure that immigrant voices and perspectives are heard and immigrant rights respected in every corner of this state. So I want to share what's called a nigun. It's an ancient Jewish idea that you can have a melody, a simple melody always, that repeats over and over and over again, like the world goes round, and yet it is us who changes each time. So I invite you to hum along, sing along, tap along, whatever that is, if you'd like. This is one that gets stuck in my head constantly, so I apologize in advance if the same thing happens to you. Yeah, here we go. Okay, I'm gonna hit the original sound button. So just as a heads up, everyone else will need to be muted or we're gonna get echo. There we go.
Thank you very much, everyone. Once again, welcome. It's a great joy to have you with us today. I'm going to review briefly our agenda before moving on. First of all, we're going to look make a brief overview of the 2021 annual report, starting with the organizing work, policy change. From there, we will go to the company efforts, centering Latinx voices through testimony, where we will also have two compas speakers, two compas that will be speaking with us. First, Sonia Perdomo and Bielmar. Thank you once again for being with us. From there, we will move on to the priorities of equity and anti-racism. And finally, we will finish that part with the statewide discussion. After that, we will have a question and answer session followed by a break and an activity. And then for the last part of the meeting, we will move to the 2022 annual plan, which we'll be discussing, especially our goals for this year. Finally, we will do the immediate needs, and we will finish with an invitation for what to do next and how to get involved in some take action points. All right. And now we move to the IFCLA report with Carly.
Hi, okay, so the IFCLA report card is something that we will be using to measure our growth for 2021. As we work towards becoming an anti-racist organization, we are exploring ways to promote transparency and accountability with our base. We welcome your feedback on growth as we continue to strive toward a movement of inclusion of immigrants and in Missouri. If you would like to submit anonymously, you may do so by entering IFCLA at ifcla.net. Please be sure not to enter your name just out of habit. And I think that is all. The links should be in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you, Carly. Just a clarification in case you missed it. I think Carly said it. There's 2 links. One is in Spanish and one is in English. So both of them are in the chat and you can pick either one and use that as we move forward. Thank you, Carly. So to kick us off, I'd like to review our 2021, what we said we were going to do in 2021. What were those goals, right? We had 5 priorities for 2021. The first is about training and organizing interfaith allies to become change agents. And the primary way we were going to do that is equipping everyone to amplify voices of Latino immigrants and immigrant communities in Missouri. So to talk about that, I want to dive into some of our educational workshops. And I think I'm passing this to Carly.
Yeah, sorry, I was having issues.
No worries.
Okay, our education program is necessary in keeping us as an organization and this community at the forefront of the struggle for justice. For our allies, it ensures they receive trauma-sensitive training for collaboration with directly impacted individuals. For our compas, it ensures that they have the tools necessary to maneuver obstacles in the immigration system. And for both compas and allies, it ensures they understand the historical decisions that have the racist and xenophobic immigration system we have today. In 2021, we held a total of 18 educational events and engaged over 216 individuals through them. Our educational events included Immigration 101, workshops on race and immigration and asylum, volunteer trainings for ICE accompaniments and pro se asylum clinics, conversations on movement building, panels on the intersections of immigration justice and religion, and many more. There's a lot to list. As a part of this priority centered on education and training, we had a goal for 2021 to include students in our work who are often excluded from community efforts through partnerships with area universities. To this end, we had the pleasure of working with several wonderful students and student interns throughout 2021. We worked with a group of Washington University students on a policy-centered project. We had interns from WashU and we had 2 interns from SLU. These incredible young leaders helped IFCLA grow in tremendous ways, and we are so grateful for their hard work and dedication.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amelie Rode. I'm the Development and Communications Coordinator at IFCLA, and I will be talking about the Congregational Partner Committee. So in 2021, we also began the process of creating what we call the Congregational Partner Committee, or CPC. IFCLA has a strong history of engaging and working alongside individual people of various faiths. However, congregations have largely been under-targeted for financial investment in our mission. With the leadership of the CPC, we've begun to build relationships with congregation leadership across St. Louis so that we can reach new donors and program participants among their members. Let's see, next slide, please. Thank you. In 2021, we developed a list of over 120 congregations to reach out to help us begin developing our congregational base. We sent an initial engagement letter to 127 congregations last February. And most of these congregations are Christian and represent roughly 7 different denominations so far. As a result of our outreach, we received 13 direct responses. We met with 3 pastors. 28 of those congregations contacted, shared our materials on social media, email, or their websites. 2 congregations hosted us for an educational event, and 17 congregations made financial contributions to IFCLA, compared to 11 in 2020. And I will pass it to our organizing team now.
Hi, everybody. I hope everybody can hear me. I am Ali Suleiman. I am the co-accompaniment coordinator alongside Angel. I've been in this role for about 2.5 years now, and primarily focus in work authorization clinics and asylum clinics. So I'm going to touch base a little bit about the second priority from 2021. The second priority was built around building community and prioritizing that community rooted in the understanding that social change grows out of people understanding themselves to be interdependent, sharing common needs, goals, and interests. So 2 ways in which we strive to do this in 2021 was through the STL Pro Se Asylum Clinics and the ICE accompaniment program. So in 2021, or in 2019, sorry, IFCLA was able to partner with 2 local nonprofit immigration law firms, Micah and Clam. Thank you guys for being here today. And we partnered with them to create the St. Louis Asylum Clinics. Last year, we had the opportunity to host 3 Pro Se Asylum Clinics. These clinics help to support asylum seekers in not only filling out their asylum applications, but also having a better understanding of the immigration process in total, and also being connected to other community resources. Through these clinics, we were able to fill over 40 asylum applications and engage over 70 volunteers. We were also able to host 2 work authorization clinics. And during these clinics, we supported in filling out work authorization applications. And through these applications, you're actually granted not only a work permit and the opportunity to work, but also social security numbers. And in 2021, over 60 work permits were filed and approved. Another way we maintain this work is through our partner organizations, such as ISPN, the Immigrant Service Providers Network, HSN, Honduras Solidarity Network, and DWN, Detention Watch Network. and jobs with justice. And I will pass it over to Angel to tell you a little bit about our ink monitor removal requests.
Hello again, everyone. Introducing myself a little more, my name is Angel Flores Fontanes, and I am the ICE Accompaniment Program. I coordinate volunteers to go with COMPAS and immigrants to the ICE and ISAP offices as they manage the immigration system and as they make requests like, for example, removing their GPS monitors, etc. During 2021, we had a big surge of cases of immigrants requesting to have their monitors taken, mostly with great success. These requests would be made by the COMPAS at the ICE offices in downtown St. Louis. Around April, we started noticing that monitors were being removed with more ease than in years before, for example, especially during the second semester of the year. At the beginning, we were confused and we had a couple of ideas of why these monitors were being removed with more ease and less struggle and fight on behalf of the COMPAS. Eventually, we came up with two conclusions. First, Migrantes Unidos, the asylum seeker support group that IFCLA accompanies, and with which you will hear more eventually later on today. Migrantes Unidos was a great tool for immigrants to communicate among themselves and share successful strategies about how to get their monitors off in the most efficient way. COMPAS would share their stories with one another and share valuable tactics about how to talk to officers, where to go, to whom to write a letter, etc. They would even accompany themselves to the offices sometimes. For example, some people who had their monitors removed already would go to the offices with people who still were carrying them and assist each other in that process as well. The second factor, other than MU's communications and mutual help, was we believe that it was also very important. The presidential administration change in the country was certainly a factor, followed by some policy changes. Although these policy changes were not necessarily structural and changed the justice system as we know it, they were indeed some measures that eased the process a little bit. For example, right now, it is ICE's policy in St. Louis that if a company has a working cell phone in the United States with a United States service provider, their monitors can be removed immediately, and surveillance will be made then by a cell phone app rather than a GPS monitor that will destroy your body. This is still a problem. This is still invasive surveillance, but at least it's a little more eased for the COMPA. And this was certainly the second factor that also contributed to those monitors being removed with more ease. Unfortunately, we still had the problem that ICE itself did not notify COMPAS in a massive way. So we had to carry that part of the job and let people know that they could have their monitors removed. Otherwise, they would continue to carry them without any need damaging their bodies and their daily lives. IFCLA staff and volunteers accompanied these and many other immigrants to ICE and ISAP offices this year, and we recorded a total of at least 22 monitors removed, not counting people who just made the questions about how to get them off, were referred, and then they followed through themselves. All right, we can pass to the next section.
Hello, my name is Sarah John. I serve as Executive Director of IFCLA, and I am excited to talk to you about something else that happened in 2021. I think starting the year off with images from Washington, D.C. and other ongoing turmoil and injustice that faced the United States, it was a little hard to feel hopeful. about the newly elected president and the changes that might be possible under a new administration. But we had been working with Alex Garcia and his family since September of 2017. So we were kind of used to the ups and downs. But I would also say we were getting pretty fed up with not having enough power, despite all we had done and all you had done with us. Some of you might recall that long before her campaign began, in fact, the campaign that would land her in the halls of Congress at the start of 2021, now Representative Cori Bush sat with Carly on Cherokee Street in 2018 after a particular event that some of you might recall in the halls of the federal building downtown. And later, Cori visited Alex and Carly and the team at Christ Church and pledged her support then. So we continued to work with her. And as she had promised long before she got elected, she reintroduced Alex's private bill on February 22nd of last year. So once again, she visited Carly and Alex at Christ Church to announce that bill and once again proclaim, now as a federally elected official, her commitment to fight for this family and for all immigrant families in Missouri. So that pressure, plus the ongoing community-based work we had led, together with Alex's attorney, Nicole Cortez from the MICA Project, plus changes in federal policies, finally led to a tipping point. And on February 24th of 2021, Alex claimed his freedom and walked out the doors of Christ Church. So while his public campaign has since concluded, we continue to support Alex and his family in their pursuit of long-term permanent protections, not just for Alex, but for families across the country fighting for their right to love and live freely.
Sarah, do you want to stop sharing your screen for a second? Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Rita Chang. I'm a community organizer with IFCLA. My title has changed like literally every year since I've been here. So I'm just like, okay, I got to get ready. So I'm a community organizer with IFCLA, and something that I would like to ask all of you, just to get some faces to names. How many of you, raise a hand, have contacted your representative in 2021? How many of you wrote to Cori Bush or Ann Wagner or Bob Onder? Anyone? Okay, all right, hands down. Sarah, can we pull the slide back up? Thank you. So the reason why I ask that is because our third priority in 2021 was to build a diverse, engaged set of volunteers who could take statewide legislative action impacting immigrants and mixed status families, not only being able to amplify policy efforts on the federal level as well, but also centering back to what are the ways that we can change the policies that govern our society that currently do not value every single human being here, and especially do not value and profit and criminalize immigrants specifically. Next slide, please. So we did this a couple different ways. The first, I'm going to talk about the Dignity Not Dollars campaign. So if you're anything like me, you probably didn't know that the budget process is pretty important. And so I'm going to tell you here's why. Each year, Congress has to pass a budget in order to ensure that the government agencies remain functioning and funded for the next fiscal year. This is a multi-step process that begins as early as February and concludes by the end of September. It should conclude by the end of September. So the president creates their version of the budget, sends it on to both the House and the Senate, which then form their own budgets. And then finally, they're all reconciled into one cohesive document just in time before the next fiscal year. Budgets are essentially policy documents. They allocate funding to federal agencies, thereby prioritizing certain focuses of an administration. With respect to immigration, the following departments receive funding. The Department of Homeland Security, USCIS, the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, Customs and Border Protection, CBP, Immigration Customs Enforcement, ICE, Department of Health and Human Services. The list goes on, right? All of these agencies receive funding. So our goal with this campaign was to make sure that Congress knows that they can honor the dignity of immigrants and mixed status families in the following ways: cutting funding for detention, deportation, and the destruction of our communities, including a pathway to citizenship for all, and then finally promoting public health and community healing, and stop leaving immigrants out of all of these programs. You can go to the next slide. And something that IFCLA committed to in 2021, in addition to another announcement that Sarah is going to give in a little bit, was becoming the convening partner of the Missouri Immigration Policy Coalition. So as a member of the core team in the bottom center, IFCLA vowed to be able to provide structure, provide capacity in order for this coalition to be able to activate and tell their representatives that we need to prioritize immigrants. And we did this a couple different ways with the following issues. Number one, with tuition equity. As of right now, if you are undocumented and you want to go to college in Missouri into a public state university, you are required to pay out-of-state tuition, even if you've spent your entire life here. This includes DACA recipients as well. So we, recognizing that this has been an ongoing thing for a few years, have been working tirelessly with advocates at the Scholarship Foundation of St. Louis, multiple organizations in Kansas City, as well as many in St. Louis, in order to tell the Missouri Congress that this needs to change. We need tuition equity now. And then secondly, as we spoke about previously, we've been pretty involved with trying to make sure that Congress knows that public safety should not and cannot rely on funding law enforcement. What keeps our communities truly safe is being able to fund our communities to keep ourselves healthy and safe. It doesn't rely on increased police presence. It doesn't rely on surveillance technology. It requires investing in our communities. And I will pass it on from there.
Thanks for your patience on the transitions. I have a lot of windows open, so it just takes me a little bit to get into the right place. So our fourth priority in 2021 was to continue amplifying immigrant voices to ensure that those very voices also have full access to our organization. Part of how we did that is through changing the way we talk about these issues. You've probably seen us complicate those sort of ever-present dominant narratives about immigration this year. You maybe saw it in our emails, in our social media posts, those sorts of things, where we invited you to think a little bit more complicatedly about these issues, right? And that's following the way that directly impacted individuals are talking and expressing about their experience in those systems, right? And so we don't get a pass. It's complicated and it's messy, and that's where we're supposed to go. So part of how we also worked to change that was ensuring that immigrant voices and immigrant individuals have full access to our organization. So last year we began to offer simultaneous interpretation during several meetings and events, and continue to expand our efforts to translate written materials as well. I think it's safe to say that's still a work in progress, but we are really thankful for our interpreters like Vic, who has sort of basically just joined the IFCLA interpretation team last year, and others, including I think Alejandra Ale, who's with us today, and a couple others who have visited IFCLA events as interpreters behind the scenes, right? So thank you. One of the primary ways that we sought to focus and amplify immigrant voices is through our ongoing work with the Migrantes Unidos team. We started this team, this team started meeting in 2020, but met consistently throughout 2021 in ways that helped grow the group and clarify the group's sort of purpose. So I'd like to introduce a couple of folks who I think are here today to talk about their experience as members of the Migrantes Unidos team. So if you can give me just 1 second so I can find you and I will spotlight you.
Sonia Perdomo and Bielmar.
Thank you.
Es el momento.
Give me just 1 moment here. I will find you, Sonia. It's a little bit tricky. I'm getting there. Angel, am I missing her?
She's there. She should be here. She said that she's here. So Sonia, if you are here, please be ready to talk. In the meantime, we can start with Bielmar whenever he's ready. Both Sonia and Bielmar are part of Migrantes Unidos, which is, in simple words, an asylum seeker support group. Generally defined, Migrantes Unidos is an asylum seeker support group that IFCLA, MICA Project, and University of Missouri at St. Louis have been accompanying through this past almost a year and a half. They share their strategies about how they manage and maneuver the justice system of the United States, and also strategies about how to have ankle monitor removals, and again, fight the good fight alongside other asylum seekers. So with no more intro, please welcome Bielmar Lopez.
Hola, buenas tardes.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Bielmar Lopez. I'm originally from Chiapas, Mexico, and my experience with IFCLA has been beautiful because thanks to them, I had the opportunity to get asylum. They helped me with my job permission and the monitor that had marked me so badly. I felt frustrated. My shackles, they helped me to remove my shackles. But thank you and to this group, they helped me out. They removed the shackle in my body and my wife's, and they also helped out with our work permit for my wife and for my children, practically. They gave me the opportunity to be here in the United States, to be calmer, peacefully. And it's been a beautiful experience with them because they've always been accompanying us to help us out, fulfill our needs, or anything they can help us out with. The help has been the policy because, you know, we're very thankful to them because it's because of them that we're here, because of all the project of IFCLA and all the people who have supported the organization, and we will always be grateful to you. What else can I tell you? My most beautiful experience that I've had with IFCLA when I was freed from my shackle, and when my shackle was removed, and my wife's as well. This has been the most beautiful experience we've had. And then when we received our work permit, thanks to them, we can say that we are free. As I already mentioned, when we met with the group, that I don't wish having the shackles to anybody, because it's going to mark you for the rest of your life. We have the scars on our feet. We have the scars in our ankles, and I hope to have the ankle monitor. Mine and my wife's has been wonderful. So I don't wish this to my worst enemy, to have it there. We arrived to this country to achieve a dream little by little. I feel that's how I feel with my family. Step by step, we're trying to achieve this freedom. Thank you to ICLA and to you. Thank you so much. That's all I have to say. I have many more things to say, but it will take longer. I'm so thankful and grateful to all of you. God bless you. And we're also here with you to moving forward.
Thank you very much, Vilmar,
Thank you very
and for your ongoing commitment. We would like now to give the mic to Sonia Perdomo. Thank you very much for being with us today as well. Whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Claro. Hola, buenas tardes.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sonia Perdomo. I am from Honduras. I arrived here 4 years ago. I had the ankle monitor for 2 years, and I met these people in IFCLA in one of my monthly visits in one of the office of ICE where you get your ankle monitor put on. And so we started to have a conversation, and I told them how many times I've been wearing the ankle monitor. It's been physical and mentally so horrible. And once you have it removed, we have like that psychosis that we still have it on your ankle. It's a psychological year. I'm so thankful that they removed it. I'm so grateful to all the people at IFCLA and of the volunteers, and because without their help, nothing would have happened. They helped me out to fill out the application and get a lawyer, because if not, it would have been super expensive. They helped me out. We fill out the application, and then we were able to apply for the job permit. And this is a game changer, because here, without your legal papers, because immigration takes the passport away from us. So thank you very much. I'm so grateful. My daughter has her work permit, and also I have it. And we're trying to reach our American dream. We have so many plans. We want to change our future in the country, because that's why we come here, because we have a different life from what we have in our countries. Unfortunately, the situation in my country hasn't been very good. You know that already. So I feel very blessed to have IFCLA's and MICA's support, because their lawyers have been very helpful. And I am in the program of Migrantes Unidos since the first meeting, and I remember clearly that I was very depressed. In the first meeting, I was crying, but now everything has changed. I feel happy. I feel well. I feel like I have achieved a lot of things, and I hope that I keep working with them hand by hand. And in the future, if I could become a volunteer, I would love to have the means to keep on supporting you, to bring out the voice of ICLA and Migrantes Unidos, so this voice can reach out to more people, because a lot of migrants need these community support. I would love to add more comments, but I know that we have very little time left. I just want to say how grateful we are, and we are here for you for whatever you need. Good afternoon, everybody.
Thank you very much, Sonia.
Muchas gracias, Sonia.
Before we transition, I would just like to invite everyone, if you're able to come off mute, and thank Vilmar and Sonia for showing up today, for others that are in the MU team who are here and being part of this important work. So if you would join me, thank you for being here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Gracias.
Thank you
Okay.
for everything that you're doing.
Let's keep it going. We are almost to a break, so thanks everyone for hanging in there. As this work continued to be necessary, we had to keep finding ways to fund it, right? Part of how the Migrantes Unidos program works, as you've heard a little bit, is that people who are directly involved in these oppressive systems are the best experts at how those systems work. And I think Ali has mentioned at times before that we don't even have access to see or to get to understand how it could work, to come up with solutions together about how to change it. So fundamental to this program is ensuring that every person is financially compensated for their time. So every meeting, the work that they're doing, the work that they continue to show up and want to do, just like the staff that shows up who is being paid to do this work, so too are the members of Migrantes Unidos. That brings us to a very exciting conversation about IFCLA's first nationwide grant, which came from the Henry Luce Foundation. And so I want to share a video message from Dr. Adriana Udani, who is deeply involved with this program and I think might be listening, so he might have a little out-of-body experience here, but let's see how this goes. Give me just 1 second here to... All right, let's see these messages.
Hi, my name is Adriana Udani, and I'm an associate professor of political science at the University of Missouri St. Louis, the program director of the university's Public Policy Administration program, and also the research advisor of the Community Innovation and Action Center, the university's public-facing research center that focuses on community engagement and collaborations. I also humbly serve as a board member of Hi, my name is Adriana Udani, and I'm an associate professor of political science at the University of Missouri St. Louis.
Bear with me for 1 second, please.
IFCLA, through its community partnerships that it's forged and maintained, has significantly altered the position of asylum seekers in producing public discourse on racism, abolition, as well as dignity in the social sciences and also humanities, as well as public policy and religious practice. In each monthly meeting, we offer the first hour for asylum seekers to share and discuss firsthand experiences, their fears, their emotions, their anger in dealing with immigration agents. Asylum seekers have shared endless examples of invasive questions and imperatives that are given to them. As one community organizer at IFCLA has said, only the asylum seekers know what's happening behind those closed doors, right? We can only stand with them and understand what they go through only so far. And so asylum seeker knowledge really helps shape the effectiveness of non-state actors such as organizers, service providers, attorneys, researchers, to better understand these clandestine tactics of ICE, as well as its private contractors, in order to improve the quality of services needed by asylum seekers themselves. So facilitating these group support meetings with asylum seekers, where they can discuss their fears and hopes, as well as stand with each other, is in of itself a form of resistance and fills a need in the community that has been long overlooked, at least in St. Louis and probably perhaps other places. Time is also dedicated in these meetings to provide a much needed space for asylum seekers to collectively imagine and also plan for a future without any forms of detention, including digital surveillance. IFCLA, through its community partnerships, and so overall, this form of asylum-led production of knowledge, that is what's making a difference, and that is what's making me excited for IFCLA in 2022. IFCLA will also gain nationwide recognition for this work soon. The Henry Luce Foundation has awarded a 3-year, $250,000 grant to IFCLA to take our local framework and train other local advocates and equitably support and pay asylum seekers as leaders and intellects to influence policy changes in their regions, including ending the abuse of harmful immigration surveillance tactics. So IFCLA's participation in co-producing knowledge here with asylum seekers matters. We're finding that our asylum seeker colleagues and partners are not only building courage, but they're also more informed how to self-advocate for themselves and others. I think at the most basic level, asylum seekers feel more equipped to face state actors after obtaining more information about ATD and also seeing their peers go through the same process. These are new outcomes that local grassroots advocacy groups and also immigrant legal service organizations have consistently voiced. And as COMPAs, asylum seekers have offered ways to build courage with each other, have created room to practice self-advocacy, and also practice the freedom of critical thinking. So to affirm and position asylum seekers as the movement leaders and intellects that they truly are, the IFCLA staff and their execution of the strategic plan is so crucial. And with that, I'd like to hand things off to for them to talk about themselves as well as the strategic plan for 2022. Thank you for your time and joining us today. And so overall,
Fun with technology. Thanks for your patience.
All right. Well, the last priority we will be discussing about last year's plan was number 5. We will develop a process of intentional institutional restructuring based upon anti-racist analysis and identity in pursuit of becoming an organization that shares power with diverse racial, cultural, and economic groups. As you probably remember, 2020 was a very big year for many reasons. One of the things that came out of 2020 was an awakening on the national conscience about the importance of anti-racism. Anti-racism was not invented in 2020, but it became a very big issue during that year. IFCLA, for at least 2 years, has been working closely with Melanie Powell Robinson from Forward Through Ferguson, consulting on how to improve our measures, policies, etc., and the staff training on how to be more anti-racist. Something that happened this past year was, first of all, that IFCLA also made a new partnership with an organization called Crossroads Anti-Racism, based on Chicago, but also they do work in St. Louis. Crossroads prepares organizations and trains staff and board members, etc., precisely on anti-racism, how to integrate it into their lives, into their regular actions, but also audits organizations' strategic plans, etc. We are 100% on the boat of anti-racism, but this is an ongoing work, and sometimes we just don't want to be the person who goes to a workshop and forgets it. We want anti-racism to be a fully integrated value and paradigm of everything we do here. Therefore, we will be working with Cross. Last year, every single member of the staff and board was able to participate in the first introductory workshop. The audit process with Crossroads also began. And also we additionally participated in the St. Louis Racial Equity Summit in 2021. For this year, we will talk later on about what is our plan with Crossroads later, but this work has already begun and we are moving forward. Additionally, Melanie will also continue to guide us and keep on giving us more suggestions and auditing on how to continue doing this work better as we move forward. Two last things, as already mentioned, in order to be more anti-racist and more, we have started guaranteeing more language access in everything that we write, publish, or say. So more Spanish translations have developed. And finally, Immigration 101, an ongoing training that IFCLA has provided for several years now, began a Spanish version called Conociendo la Migra. We had our first workshop on November, and our incoming workshop number 2 will come will be happening on next month. Thank you very much. That will be all for the priorities of last year for now.
Thank you so much, Angel. Finally, we sort of concluded the year with a pretty big announcement that we will talk about after when we get into the 2022 plans. But I am so excited to think about how we bring about change, which is what I learned from the founders as a college student intern at IFCLA a long time ago, is thinking strategically about how we bring about change and how much power we're going to need in order to affect that change. So we were approached by the board of MIRA, Missouri Immigrant and Refugee Advocates, a longtime partner and friend of IFCLA. And they asked for us to support their vision moving forward as their role transitions into something significantly lesser. So after several months and lots of conversations, we were thrilled in October to announce that we will begin a 3-year transition plan to become an inclusive, immigrant-led statewide organization that is committed to building power for the kinds of systemic changes that we all seek and desire in Missouri and beyond. So we will get to talk a little bit more about that later today, about the tools and ways that we are going to start that in 2022. So all of this awesomeness is also work, right? And it takes an incredibly dedicated team to imagine it, reimagine it, build it, sustain it, revise it, throw it out, start it over, right? And we have that, and we have built that in the last several years. So 2021 was a pretty hard year for IFCLA financially. While we had received a boost of support the year before, I think as the pandemic hit, many of you and many people in our community sort of responded quickly to ensure that we could sustain our efforts. But the financial impacts of the sustained pandemic were felt at IFCLA last year. We also found ourselves working against nationwide sort of attitudes that a Biden presidency and a new administration meant rainbows and unicorns for all things related to immigration, which we all know is not the truth. So I want to sort of share briefly some of our numbers from 2021. As you can see, I've broken it down, the income into three pieces. Many of you might remember the IFER fund, which was launched in 2020, which distorted some of our numbers if we didn't separate it out for 2020. And there was a third distribution of that in 2021. We're also the fiscal sponsor for the Immigrant Service Providers Network, so that's why you see them broken out here. And I think in the detailed income graph for IFCLA, I think in Carly and Amelie, am I tapping you in to speak here? Is that correct? Great, let me find you. Give me just 1 second. Okay, now I think we can see everyone. Would you like to talk about the income details?
Yes, I can start. I just gotta find my tab. Yes, okay. So in 2021, we witnessed the generosity of 75 individual donors through our main fundraising days, like Give SDL Day, Giving Tuesday, and our annual Loteria Night. We also received money donations throughout 2021, ranging from $8 to $250 from our 48 incredible sustainers. We cannot do what we do without our donors and sustainers, and we are continually humbled by their investments in IFCLA and the social media movement we are a part of.
Thanks, Carly. Yes, I will jump in and talk a bit about grants. So let's see, maybe we can go 2 slides over, see some numbers. There we go. So compared to 2020, which was a very unique year in terms of giving and fundraising in general, we did bring in less income from grants in 2021. We simply do not get every grant we write, and we definitely went through a period last year where I know for me, it felt like we were just getting rejections after rejections. But still, we have a lot to celebrate. In total, we applied for about 20 grants in 2021, and we received 9 of them, or 45% of those that we applied for. And yes, big whoop. We're extremely grateful to have received those grants that we have, including 3 multi-year grants. We received a 2-year grant from Deaconess Foundation for $40,000. We, as we touched on earlier, received a national 3-year grant from the Henry Luce Foundation for $250,000. And drum roll, please. Thank you. We also received a 3-year grant from the Missouri Foundation for Health for just over $357,000. So like I said, we have a lot to celebrate. And I will pass it back to you, Sarah.
Awesome, thank you so much. Our budget for 2022 sort of takes this trajectory and looks at all of these different changes and tries to look at how do we grow and how do we recognize where that is hard for our community right now. So we have definitely an increase in our grant income, which is reflective of the multi-year grants that we've received. And I think one other piece that I would just lift up with Amelie's incredible work on our team, it is February 6th and over 60% of the budgeted grant income has already been secured for 2022, which is phenomenal. So we don't get to stop, but that's a very different place than we've been in the past. Finally, I want to talk about our expenses briefly. So as Angel mentioned, and we'll discuss later, we've included a significant increase to our budget to support our ongoing anti-racism efforts. And we've included our budget to retain our fabulous accountant after going through a an adjustment period. We have landed with someone who is truly phenomenal. And we are going to keep her. And then also I wanted to name here that in the personnel expenses, this is important to retain our team and to begin attracting new members to recruit to this work as we look statewide over the next 3 years. One of the ways that we'll be doing that is through the development of community liaisons and what we're calling an expert committee or comité de expertos. These will be teams of individuals who are directly impacted, who will be paid for their time and efforts to help build the statewide movement. I also want to talk about those numbers because sometimes it's really jarring, and I'd be happy to think about this maybe in Q&A later today or even after the report is released and you have time to digest it. But IFCLA is not interested in continuing and perpetuating cycles of poverty. So that means if we have a staff of 6, we need to care for that staff of 6. And we need to make sure that we're not putting them in places that means taking out other jobs, taking on loans, and not being able to live into the kind of life that we're actually fighting for so that we can all live. And so that number is going to continue to grow. And that means looking at sort of poverty rates locally and figuring out where our staff lies. And it's not a mark of pride for me to say that our salary rates currently keep us below the poverty lines. That's not good. That doesn't feel good. And we're committed to changing that. So I think finally what you also see here are included, as you can see, ISPN income and ISPN expenses are included here. So the net income also shares net income between ISPN and IFCLA. So I am going to leave it there and pass to my team.
Hi, it's me. I think what we are going to do is take a brief break, take your stretch break, and we're going to throw up another word cloud. So we'll come back in 5 minutes. All right, thank you.
When everybody's gone. like stunning, I like shining, I like $1 million deals. Where's my pen? Bitch, I'm signing. I like those Balenciagas, the ones that look like socks. I like going to the Tula. I put rocks all in my watch. I like texts from my exes when they want a second chance. I like proving niggas wrong. I do what they say I can't. They call me Cardi, Brody, banging body, spicy mommy, hot tamale, hotter than a Somali. Virgo, Ferrari, hop up the stoop, jump in the coupe, big dip on top of the roof, flexing on bitches as hard as I can, eating halal, driving a lamb. So that bitch, I'm sorry though. Got my coins like Mario. Yeah, they call me Cardi B. I run this shit like cardio. I'm in district in the chain. Certified, you know I'm gang, 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 gang. Drop the top and blow the brand. If you would just make one mistake, what a relief that would be. But I think for as long as we're together, I'll be the only heartbreaker. I'll be the only heartbreaker. I'll be the only heartbreaker. So I'll be the loser in this game. I'll be the bad guy in the play. I'll be the water main that's burst and flooding. You'll be by the window only watching. I'll be the only heartbreaker. I'll be the only heartbreaker.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to quickly talk about interpretation once more, just to make sure everyone is connected. Lorena, are you able to hear me? Lorena, ¿me puedes escuchar?
Sí, sí se escucha bien.
Ok. Usted se tiene que escoger el idioma preferida dentro de Zoom. ¿Sí sabes cómo hacerlo? Porque tenemos interpretación simultánea. Lorena?
Si usted va a la... ok. Si usted va al área de abajo, donde están los símbolos, hay uno que se supone que haya un símbolo que diga Spanish o English, español o inglés. You go down to the symbols area, the area where you have the different Zoom symbols, where you choose to chat or see the participants, mute yourself. In that same area, you should have one symbol that either has an E and an N or an E and an S for Spanish. Whatever you speak, please choose one of those options so you will be directed to the correct language option for you. And we also, so we make the work of our translator easier. Thank you, translators.
Alrighty, so we just spent the first half of our time talking about 2021. It is currently 2022, and we have to get into that mindset. So we'll be talking about our priorities for what this year's going to look like. And I'd like to uplift, excuse me, some of the answers that folks had responded to in the chat. What does an immigrant inclusive movement look like in Missouri? Undocumented immigrant communities across the state being able to contact each other, brainstorm together, and build plans for statewide power. Multiple opportunities and access points to engage locally. Language access to all meetings held at a time that's possible for immigrants to be involved. Keeping personally impacted people at the center of the work. So I think we have a common theme here. What we need to do and continue to need to do is center the folks who have this lived experience in their own advocacy and their own pursuit of social change. So I will pass it on from here to Amelie and Carly.
Thank you, Rita. Let's see. So I will kick us off with our first priority for 2022. So at the core of our first priority is building key relationships throughout Missouri. This includes relationships with organizations, congregations, and individuals, including directly impacted communities, immigrants, mixed status families, and allies. To this end, we have mapped out several activities we are super excited about that will help us make this happen. So as we expand statewide, we will build a team of community liaisons among Missouri's Spanish-speaking and Vietnamese-speaking immigrant communities, with a focus on recruitment from a majority of rural areas, including Noel, Monet, and Seneca, Missouri. Community liaisons will support statewide collaboration, and they will be compensated for their time and expertise. We will also create the experts committee that Sarah mentioned earlier. This committee will serve as a space for individuals who identify as immigrants to design leadership and power sharing strategies within IFCLA and for statewide collaboration. We imagine this committee will become a source for identifying key leaders, recruiting new staff members and community liaisons, and we imagine it will become a tool for institutional power sharing with IFCLA's board. Members of the experts committee will also be compensated for their time and expertise. And I will pass it to Carly.
Another activity that will help us build relationships across Missouri is the continued development of the Congressional Partner Committee, which Amelie talked about earlier when we reviewed our 2021 accomplishments. We will also expand the Missouri Immigration Policy Coalition, which IFCLA hosts. This coalition of immigrant advocacy organizations work to build a proactive policy platform to create cultural and legislative change. And of course, we will continue to build relationships through maintaining the ICE and ISAP accompaniment program in the St. Louis region, by supporting leadership among asylum seekers and people who have worn or are wearing ankle monitors. And by expanding our list of attorneys, we can refer individuals or volunteers for support.
So after we're building all of those relationships in places where we haven't really had time or capacity to do in the past, we're going to develop and offer training regularly, workshops, strategy sessions, one-to-ones, house meetings. Are those still a thing during COVID? Not sure. Communicate regularly and effectively with our base. We're going to have different educational opportunities along with that training, including Immigration 101s, needs of immigrants, specifically focusing on the intersections of social identity, workshops on laws and policies, root causes, US intervention. And then ultimately what we're trying to do in this priority is train and equip a base to bring about this social change. What are the tools that we need to abolish ICE? What are the tools that we need in order to take action? And before I get ahead of myself, I'm going to pass it to Allie.
Hey, everybody. I will touch base. Oh, I'm going to give just a moment for our interpreters. Cool. So priority 3 is once IFCLA's base has been trained, educated, and equipped to bring about statewide change, we will develop and implement innovative strategies to abolish all practices that dehumanize and criminalize immigrants. In practice, this looks like several different things. First, we must continue to provide opportunities for our base to engage in legislative action, such as voting, signing petitions, preparing and giving testimony, and maintaining a strong presence in Jefferson City. These efforts will continue to be supported by the Missouri Immigration Policy Coalition and other partners that we have previously mentioned. We will also continue engaging members of Congress and state legislators, all in an effort to push for a more humane immigration system rooted in the dignity and justice for all. Another way we turn some of those trainings that Rita mentioned into practice is through Migrantes Unidos. You've heard a lot about them so far. And as Sarah and Adriano mentioned earlier, through the Henry Luce grant, we are now in the process of developing 5 other hubs of asylum seekers across the United States that will also be collaborating and developing strategies to get ankle monitors off and to fight to eliminate all forms of detention. Another aspect of this priority is to continue to fight for long-term protections for not just Alex Garcia, but for all other families as well. And I will pass it to Sarah to talk about priority 4.
Oh, I'm sorry. Angel, do you want to take this one?
Absolutely. We will be an inclusive, anti-racist, immigrant-led organization that is financially sustainable, that shares power equitably and centers the voices of directly impacted communities at all levels of governance and programming. As I said before, last year we started a relationship with Crossroads to strengthen even more our commitment to anti-racism and the formation itinerary that all board and staff members. In the next 2 months, all staff and board will continue the itinerary provided by Crossroads, participating in the next workshops first. Second, starting a formal process of auditing for the current strategic plan and the following strategic plan. And third, we will also create a catalyst team within IFCLA of some representatives within the board and some representatives in the staff to kind of push all the things that Crossroads is providing to us in terms of advice, in terms of planning. This catalyst team will push us forward as an organization even more as we continue our work. And this team requires an additional and specific training for themselves about how to push these values within an organization, not just in terms of speaking, but also in terms of practice. And of course, this will also have an impact in our programming and offerings for the Compass and directly impacted people. at least this year, also have separated up a specific amount of money due to the fact that as it has been explained before, all of this work requires money. And IFCLA wants to put its money where its mouth is in everything that we do. So we have also done that. So all the things that will be required of us during this year, as we continue growing in this area, we will be able to financially, we will be able to do it and met our financial goals on this particular goal. We can move on to priority number 5 as well. Finally, for this year, we will compassionately respond to immediate needs of immigrant community members while honoring their dignity and power. It has been said in different forums that IFCLA's mission is about accompaniment, education, fighting for immigrant rights, and immediate needs has not been necessarily part of what we do on a regular basis. At the same time, 2020, 2021, those were years that were very intense, specifically now because of COVID. COVID made everything worse. Everything that has to do with making life possible has been made worse by the pandemic. Especially during the last year, we have received an increasing amount of people calling for extreme emergency situations, running out of food, not having enough money for rent because they were fired or ran out of money, etc. At the same time, the programs that we spend a lot of time, like accompanying people to the ICE office and coordinating volunteers, has suffered an amazing fall in terms of requests. Why? Because the office has been receiving less people, and the immigration court in Kansas City has ceased many times during the year because of the pandemic. Therefore, people have been calling more and more for immediate needs and less for accompaniment to ICE or ISAP. So we have decided, being faithful to our mission, to try to respond to these immediate needs, not necessarily like providing the money or the help, but helping Compass maneuver the different organizations and offerings around St. Louis that provides those kind of helps with different organizations and different areas like medicine, medical needs, food needs, housing needs, etc. That's particularly, I'm one of the ones working in this area. Compass know what they need, but sometimes they have trouble communicating that because of language barriers, for example, and we try to solve that and mediate for them. So that's why we will now, as an organization, move more toward this area of immediate needs, but IFCLA style, respecting and honoring people's dignity and power. Now we move to a poll. We want to hear from you. What is your opinion about our goals for 2022 and our theories and our strategies on how we will implement this? So Sarah will help us right now with technology to make sure that everyone gets this poll. It will be done through Zoom. Sarah, I let you give us more details.
Absolutely, thank you. The Zoom poll should be open. You should be able to either see a notification on your screen or click polls at the bottom. Flail wildly or come off mute if you can't find the poll. It is bilingual. Most of them are single choice. A couple, one of them is multiple choice. So you'll see that. Please let me know if you have any questions. If you can jump in now, it's only 4 questions. So pop in, give us your feedback, and we'll get going. Is anyone having trouble accessing? Okay, great. Oh, yay, responses coming in. Thank you. Keep it coming. Woo, just past 10%. Thank you. Keep it coming. This is all anonymous, by the way. I can't see what you're answering, like who is answering. I just see the number of participants that answer. So if that changes anything, 25% people responding. Thank you. Keep it coming, please. If we can get at least 50 or 60%, that would be great. Then we can move on. 35%. We're almost there, folks. We'll give about 2 more minutes to finish up the poll. Okay, 30 seconds left. Please click send, submit, whatever the poll button says. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, please press send. 4, 3, 2.5, 2, 1. I'm gonna close it. Push send. Okay, thanks.
Hi, I think it's my turn. Or are we gonna go over the poll? Did I miss that too?
No, you're good to go.
Okay, so after everything that you guys have heard, let me slow down, sorry. If you want to get involved, we have a few things that are happening and a few needs also. So we have our 40th anniversary planning committee that we are requesting volunteers for. You can also become a sustainer for as little as $5, $10 a month. 40 if you want to do something special for 40th anniversary, which me and my husband did during Week of Gratitude. Also, you can subscribe to our newsletter. It goes out on the first Tuesday of every month. It explains all of our events, updates, and other things that you can take action on as well. You can attend the 40th anniversary events that we will be sharing throughout the year and volunteer at these following trainings that are happening. We have the accompaniment training, the Pro Se EAD renewal clinic, the Pro Se asylum clinic, and the $500 cash assistance application and distribution.
Thanks, Carly. I can touch a little bit about a few of the volunteer opportunities. So every quarter we offer an accompaniment training. We don't have a specific date set for this quarter, but that information will be included in the Adelante newsletter. Throughout the month of February, there are 2 of the volunteer opportunities. So we will be helping folks to fill out work authorization renewal applications based on a 1-to-1 basis of availability. So that'll be going on through the entire month of February. We will also help fill out the city's $500 cash assistance applications. At this moment, the 50 applicants have been chosen, and starting next week, we will be contacting people and volunteers to coordinate that throughout this month as well. The second weekend in March, we will be having a Pro Se Asylum clinic, and we are needing volunteers for almost every area. We're looking for volunteers who can help with interpretation throughout the day, who can help support with food prep and cleanup, and can also help bring in like transportation needs, things like that. So for the Pro Se Asylum Clinic, there is a spot for everybody to volunteer. So if you're interested in any of these opportunities, you can email any of our staff members. We can pop that information in the chat, or you can email me directly if you have any other questions.
Hey, Carly. Is this me?
Yes, if you would like to assist me with it, I would appreciate it.
Okay. IFCLA turns 40, in case you didn't know. That means we were born in 1982. Can I get a round of applause? I don't know what you do when you're 40. I'm not 40 yet, so we'll find out. But something that I would like to share with you all is the responses that you all had said at the beginning of our birthday party. What is an important memory you've had with IFCLA? Let's see, I'm gonna read some. Apologies for the interpreters. I will slow down. Crying as a team. Being screamed at by alleged allies in the elected office in DC. My trip to SOA Watch with Naring's Young Women. Alex leaving Sanctuary. Yes. Getting big grant news live while in an operations team meeting. Sarah's Immigration 101s. Standing in support of Alex Garcia and seeing him reunited with his family. So I just shared a sample of all of these wonderful things that you people have said. And I just want you to think about that and bask in that, in all those good, important feelings, especially the one where you got yelled at. I'm sorry that happened to you, but I'm sure it was a formative experience. Ways that we're going to celebrate the Big 40 at IFCLA include the following. We're going to have an Advocacy 101 training with yours truly at the end of February. And it's about meeting your representatives. How do you talk to them? What do you say? What is it like when someone yells at you? How do you respond? Thank you. Have a nice day. In March, we have, like Angel was saying, Immigration 101, criminalization of immigrants. This is a part 2 of the workshop that he led in 2021. In March, we are going to hope and pray and have good feelings in the universe that we can meet in person in order to have a salsa off. If you are not aware what the salsa off is, it was supposed to be a gathering where we all prepared the salsa that we had learned from our family's traditions or off the internet and brought it and shared it together and had a competition to determine who had the best salsa. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. It wouldn't be me. I do the eating, not the cooking. So let's send good vibes to the universe that we have this event. If not, stay tuned. And then finally on the agenda, we have in April, Tapped in Maplewood has a charity of the week. And so what happens is you go to the restaurant, you purchase a beverage, and then parts of that proceeds go to IFCLA. So we hope that you can make it for these events that are coming up in the 40th year of our existence. And then I'm going to, I believe, pass it to Carly to talk about something big that's happening in June.
Okay, so in June, we will be having our 3rd annual Loteria event and our 40th celebration as well. So please save the date on that. We will have like the exact date, you know, of course, to be determined. And then we have the fundraising committee, which I talked about a few minutes ago. Anyways, but there's a bit.ly link that you can type in, and that will take you to an application that you can fill out to become part of that. Also, you can make a donation to our silent auction. If you would like to do that, you can email us at ifcla@ifcla.net. And I think that's it. Anyone else more than welcome to jump in.
At this time, I would like to introduce Leo Medina, who is member of IFCLA's board. And I'm going to stop sharing so we can see each other to conclude our meeting.
All right, hopefully y'all can hear me. Am I good? All right, awesome. Well, first off, I want to kind of start off by saying a huge thank you to the staff and the board and volunteers, everybody that's a part of IFCLA. You all definitely make a huge change into what we do as individuals, as a community, as a state, as a country, as the world, right? I know we're a small blimp if you look at the big size of what's going on, but there is one saying that IFCLA reminds me about all the time, and it is, the darkness does not destroy the light, it defines it. Everything that IFCLA does here affects situations in which we feel dark, we feel alone, we feel pain, we feel suffering. But the way you all presented everything we do, everything we talk about, defines that light that makes a change. And it just fills my heart, and it motivates me as an individual, as a team member, as a board member, again, as a part of a community. And to that, I want to kind of end it with saying a huge thank you, a huge salud. I got my mezcal here. That's my drink of choice. But hopefully you all have something to cheers with. And here's to salud, to health, to IFCLA, to the community, our partners and our volunteers. Thank you so much. And thank you for being a part of this annual meeting and all future events.
Salud.
Salud.
Yeah.
Salud.
Thank you so much, everyone. We hope you have a great day. We will release the annual report and follow-up email with all the goodies after today's meeting. Thank you so much for your time and dedication.
Thanks, everyone.
What's